Hi great people, you are welcome back to Physique Fashioners channel. My name is Fola. Today we'll be learning how to cut a deep sweater neckline with a yoke. Let's get started. I've come here with my pattern. Here I have with me the length of the top we'll be making is 22 inches. So I have half an inch as my hem allowance down here, and I have half an inch as my joining allowance at the shoulder line here. My chest line, the chest line I'm working with is 8 inches. The bust line is 9 inches. Under bust length is 12 inches. Half length or waist line is 16.5. And for my chest line, how do I come about it? I divide the bust circumference of the client, which is 32. I divide it by 6. I added 1.5, so it gives me 7 inches. So that is 7 inches I have here, and 1 inch is being measured up as my shoulder slope. So now let's go straight to our horizontal measurements. Here I have measured the bust circumference. I divided it by 4. The bust circumference is 32. I divided by 4, give me 8 inches. That is how I get my armhole cuff. I divide this 7 inches by 2. This is a 3.5. On that 3.5, I enter inwardly with a 3/4. Then I connect to my 8 inches, just the way you see it. So now we want to move straight to get the dart. So we come to the under bust length, we come to the left and to the right with a 1 inch. We come to here with 1 inch, 1 inch. Then on my top length, I step upward with a 2 inches. Then I connect this. Then I grab my curve rule to connect from my bust point to the under bust, just this way. So the next thing I do is to take my French curve and connect to this point. The next thing I do is to get my horizontal measurements. I come to the waist. I measure my waist. The waist I'm working with is 26. I divide it by 4. It gives me 6.5. On the waistline, I measure 6.5. Then I return what I'm having here. Here I have 1 inch inside here. I return the 1 inch. Next thing is to move to my hip circumference, which is my top length. So the hip measurement we are working with is 35. When we divide 35 by 4, it gives us 8.75. So we measure 8.75 here. 8.75. Mark it here. In this my princess dart area, we need to do some things there. So the next thing I'll be doing here is to move upward and downward with a 3/4, that is 0.75. So what I want to do now is to connect it back to this end. So the essence of this we are doing is for us not to be having surplus in the armhole region there. The next thing we do is to extend this line with what we are having inside here. We come up with a 3/4, we come down with 3/4. When we measure everything we are having inside here, now we have 1.5. So this 1.5, we extend this our line with 1.5. And to get a new armhole curve, this very 1.5, we return it to this bust line, chest line, and we mark 1.5. Then we reconnect we get a new armhole cuff. the under bust circumference we are working with is 26, just the way we are having it in the waist. So 26 divided by 4 give us 6.5. We measure 6.5 here. We return this which we are having inside here, which is 2 inches. We return it 2 inches. We get our bust dart, and to achieve that, we'll be measuring down from this bust. We'll be measuring down 1.5. It's because we are using this person is a small size. If you are dealing with a regular size, you use 2 inches. So from here I connect to my bust point. I get the midpoint of this. This is the midpoint. On these midpoints, just step out with half an inch. Then from your bust, you connect to this end. The next thing is to curve the down part of our top. I'll be using like 2 inches. Let me use 1.5. You are good to use 2 inches. I mark 1.5 upward here. Then I connect it. Then I get my half an inch hem allowance. I return it. Let's cut it out. Before we cut it out, let me get the joining allowance for my shoulder line. Any other allowance will be joined to our fabric. Now, I want to cut it out now, but before I cut out, I'm not too comfortable with this curve, so I want to redraw this curve. So just disregard this. Let me cut it out. Let me just close up this darts before we move on in our cutting process. Yeah, so which means we don't really need this. So you have to, it has to be there in case by the time you close up your darts, there is the gap to fill here. So in this case, we don't need it, so we cut it off. So now we want to, before we cut out everything, we want to create our neckline. And you know, we are having deep sweetheart neckline in that project. So what we do is that we come here to determine the depth of our neckline. For this project, I'll be making use of 10.5 as the depth of my neckline, 10.5. But the first thing I will do is that on this chest line, which is 8 inches, I come in with a half an inch. I mark it. Then I grab my cuff this way. I'm trying to create my sweetheart neckline now. So I'll connect from this point, I'll connect to this half an inch that I have come in with. Just the way you see me placing my cuff roll. Yeah. Then from there, I use a straight ruler to connect like something feel like shape to this my 10.5. So this is our yoke now. So let's continue in our cutting. So note that this will be cut off. want to cut out. This is going to be my yoke. Now let me just create my joining allowance to the neckline. Half an inch. Then I want to cut out my yoke now. You can see how sharp it is here. 1 inch will be added by the side. Here, half an inch will be added. For the darts area, half an inch will be added. Half an inch. Here, half an inch will be added here. Just through. Then here as well, half an inch will be added at the center front. The way we are going to cut out our fabric, it will be open at the center. It's going to have joining at the center. So half an inch will be added all through the center front. So for the yoke, half an inch will be added here. We are going to we'll be using nets to cut out our yoke. So half an inch will be added here, then half an inch will be added here. So this region seam allowance has been taken care of, and for the down parts, the seam allowance is already been taken care of. So this is the front cut. So and note that for the yoke, this place is not going to open. This place is going to be on fold for the center front of the yoke, on fold. But for this side is going to be open, and all the area that needs to be added and allowance has been indicated. So let's move to the back cuts now. I've come with the pattern drafting. What I'm having here is the length of my back is 20.5. You know, our front length is 22. So I deduct the bust darts of 1.5 that we remove in the front. I remove it, I deduct it here. So 22 minus 1.5 give us 20.5. That's what we are having here. So that's the length. And where this is exactly where that 1.5 was removed from the shoulder length to the half back or waistline. You know, our half back, I mean our front half length was 16.5, so 1.5 has been deducted from it. Here we have our half back, which is 15 inches. That is where the waist will be measured for the back. So I have here, and I measure one inch inward and root down for my zipper allowance. For the neckline, I measure 3 inches by 1.5, 3 inches wideness by 1.5, and I connect it. So for the armhole line, I get the midpoint of this, which is 3.5. On it, I come inwardly with quarter. You know, for the front, we enter with a 3/4, and I connect it to my bust measurements, which is 8 inches. So the neck, and this is my bust span, 3.5, 7 inches divided by 2. Give me 3.5. I get it here and I rule it down. This is my bust point line, which will be used to determine my darts. So for the back darts now, on this waistline, we come to the left and to the right with half an inch. You know, for the front we use 1 inch, half an inch. Then for the down part, we step up with 2 inches, just the way we did in the front, 2 inches. Then here from the bust line or chest line, we step down with 1 inch, which happen to fall on our bust point. Then we connect it. This is for the back. So the next thing is for us to get the horizontal measurements. The waist we are working with is 26. I divide 26 by 4, give me 6.5. I measure 6.5 here. I return this 1/2 inch. So I've already measured my bust measurements. 32 divided by 4, 8 inches. Here we have it. Then I just connect my 1 inch seam allowance straight up. 1 inch seam allowance, 1 inch seam allowance. Then for the down part, for the hip of my top, the hip measurement we are working with is 35. We divide it by 4, give us 8 3/4. We measure it here, 8 3/4. Then we get our seam allowance of 1 inch. Then I connect it. So I will go ahead and add the seam allowance to the armhole region. Been connected. Then we shape our back here on this half back. We step inward with 1/2 inch. Then up here from the chest line, we step up with 2 inches. Then we connect it. So the next thing we want to do now is to create our yoke, the back yoke. Before we move on to the yoke part, let's quickly shape the down part of our top. It's 1.5 inches. Then we connect it just the way we did in the front. So now I forgot to have drawn out the princess dart for the back. So let's quickly take care of that. I'm supposed to have done that even before the seam allowance is being added to this side. So you just take your French curve, you just connect from this where you come in with 1/4 inch here. You connect to your bust span, your dart, just this way. Then for the back, you come up and down with 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Then you reconnect it. Then this which you are having here, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, making 1 inch. So you extend this one from here. You extend it with 1 inch now, just this way. So this 1 inch is what is returned here now. After your measurement, this 1 inch will be returned here to create a new armhole. So you have to ignore this now, because we'll be getting this on our fabric. So I just connect from here to here now. So this is our new armhole line now, so which means another seam allowance will be formed. So we want to create the yoke for the back now. For the back, let the depth of my yoke be like 7 inches. I connect from here to this 7 inches. This is going to be my yoke now. So you are good to play around with this just the way you want it. So this is 6 inches. I think I'll be using 6 inches depth for my back yoke. This is going to serve as my yoke now. So now I will be having another seam allowance for this place now. So this will be connected to this now, you know, the 1 inch that we extend this place with. We are going to connect this with. So you have to ignore this seam allowance of 1 inch for now. So maybe we'll be adding it to our fabric. So you connect this to this. So you ignore this as well. So I'll be adding seam allowance to the fabric. So I won't bother to use this seam allowance for now. So for here, seam allowance has been joined to this place. So let's just add the seam allowance to the arm region. I'll be cutting it out now. So note that seam allowance has not been added to the side now, so that we won't have too much rough here. So this is the back cut. Let me just signify the area that seam allowance will be added now. So note that we have cancelled the seam allowance we joined by the side before. So 1 inch seam allowance, or any allowance you want to use, 1 to 2 inches seam allowance will be used for the side. So seam allowance has been added to this side. Half an inch will be added to this side. Half an inch will be added. Half an inch will be added here. For the down part of the yoke, half an inch will be added. So this is the pattern for our back cuts now. Now I'll go ahead and use this African print Ankara to cut out my fabric, and I'll be using this lining. I will need wording, and I will be needing fusible interfacing. So I will cut it out, then I will see you in my next video to do the making together. I'm sure you have really enjoyed this video. So like this video, drop your comments in the comment section, share this video with your friends and family, and if you have not subscribed, do well to subscribe now. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.